The US Open promises to cook up the biggest shocks in tennis, and this year's been the same. In fact, the first round matches haven't even finished, and we're already witnessing some major upsets. One of the biggest upsets came with Simona Halep getting knocked out. We'll take a look at that, along with some reactions and some of the other upsets from the first round of matches at Flushing Meadows. Starting with Simona Halep's surprising loss. Simona Halep, the two-time Grand Slam champion, was given a favorable draw and was set to open against Daria Snežor. If you haven't heard of Snežor, then don't be too hard on yourself. There's a decent chance that even Halep never heard of her. Okay, fine, we're sorry, but the way she played, it felt like she was taking the first round match for granted. That's certainly not the way to go about your business in a Grand Slam. And Halep learned that the hard way. The little-known Ukrainian qualifier, Daria Snežor, put on a superb performance against the former world number one. But more on the performance later. First, we take a look at how subpar a performance the Romanian star put in and just didn't look like winning at any stage until that second set madness. For someone who'd won 19 of her last 22 matches, there were a lot of hopes from Halep after she returned to the top 10. But she can't change the fact that the US Open has been a terrible Grand Slam for the former world number one. It opens up the bottom half of the women's draw, and Coco Gauff will be feeling a lot more optimistic about her chances now that the world number 7 has been knocked out. For Snežor, though, it's the biggest win of her career and also her first ever win on the WTA Tour. Not a bad way to start your career, huh? Up next, recapping the match. Simona Halep started her Grand Slam campaign very poorly. Compared to the Romanian, Snežor was out of the blocks quickly and put pressure on the women's heavyweight star and kept on the back foot. There were ample opportunities for Halep to get back in the first set, but Snežor shut them down on every occasion, wrapping up the first set in a comfortable manner, 6-2. Halep, though, found her touch in the second set and produced one of the most dominating sets of her career, begeling the Ukrainian and destroying any potential confidence she may have left. Within minutes, we were on level terms, and the third set promised to be big, but Halep was the favorite to win from that point on. Surprisingly, though, Snežor had a different plan for her Romanian counterpart and was terrific in the opening games, keeping up the pace with Halep. It wasn't long before we got to the business end of the match, and Snežor took her opportunities and moments in a better manner compared to Halep. She found the corners more often and got the all-important break to wrap up the third set and the match. 6-2, 0-6, 6-4, to hand an early exit to Halep. Moving on to the reaction. Snežor broke down after sealing the famous win, and it was a massive moment for the Ukrainian for obvious reasons. She tried to explain through tears just how big the win was for her, her family, and her country, given the current ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia. The 20-year-old donned a pin on her chest in the colors of her national flag and had her hands around it after securing the final point. Similarly, the reaction of disbelief was obvious from all over the tennis world. Eurosport's Barbara Schett and Mats Wilander couldn't believe that Halep had lost in such a manner and labeled it a big disappointment. Halep fans on Twitter, too, couldn't believe their superstar's luck, and some people claim that she struggled to cope with Snežor's unorthodox style. Others couldn't believe what they were watching. Halep was considered a favorite despite her abysmal US Open record, along with Iga Swiatek and Aryna Sabalenka, and this loss has only brought about anger and disbelief from her fans. Some people blamed Patrick Mouratoglou for the loss, but we think that's low-key harsh. We've got no doubt that Halep will be back in full flow soon. She's a champion, and champions never go out of fashion. Then, the roundup of results. Simona Halep getting knocked out was probably the biggest surprise of the evening, but it wasn't the only one. On a night that featured Serena Williams and Ons Jabeur, the fans were hoping that there wouldn't be more losses. And while there weren't any more high-profile exits, a couple of other seeded women still fell in the first round, opening up the draw a little more. Another major defeat was experienced by the number 10 seed Daria Kasatkina, who lost to Harriet Dart of the UK after a thrilling first set that ended in a 10-8 tiebreak win for Dart. She would hang on to a break in the third and win the biggest match of her career. Martina Trevisan, the 27th seed, was defeated in straight sets by Evgenia Rodina, the Russian veteran, who secured a big win to start her U.S. Open campaign. On the other hand, Zhang Shuai beat the 30th seed Jill Teichmann from Switzerland comfortably over 2 sets. 6-4, 6-2. Bianca Andreescu came through after a tough test against Harmony Tan of France. As for the wins, the likes of Coco Gauff and Maria Sakkari produced incredible tennis to negotiate tricky starts. Serena Williams thankfully defeated Danka Kovanic of Montenegro, and there were big wins for the likes of Leylah Fernandez, Anett Kontaveit, and Ons Jabeur. Later, the world number 1, Iga Swiatek, will be in action against Jasmine Paolini, as Jessica Pegula, Garbine Muguruza, Arina Sabalenka, Karolina Pliskova, and Petra Kvitova will also start their first-round campaigns today. In other news, first up, Stefanos Tsitsipas knocked out in the first round. Maybe, just maybe, the next gen is simply not good enough. Stefanos Tsitsipas experienced yet another early Grand Slam exit, and the world number 5 will be kicking himself because he had the opportunity to make it to the number 1 position. Instead, he got bageled by the Colombian qualifier, Daniel Galán, in the first set and was 5-0 down in the second too. Tsitsipas would register his first game in the 12th of the match before Galán wrapped up the second set 6-1. The Greek found some form and started hitting much better in the third and took the third set 6-3, looking to make a comeback. But Galán was simply too much for Steph and broke him late in the fourth to complete a fantastic 6-0, 6-1, 3-6, 7-5 win against the world number 5. It's an embarrassing result for Tsitsipas, who revealed that Galán was dominating the match from the first minute and added that the Colombian was playing like a world-class player, while he himself played like an amateur. There were some struggles with injuries, but Tsitsipas could have and should have done better. Secondly, surprise exit for Taylor Fritz. Taylor Fritz is one of the most talented players on tour, and there's always hope that he'd produce something special in Grand Slams. He enjoyed a decent run at Wimbledon before getting knocked out against Rafael Nadal, but the U.S. Open didn't go how he would have planned. Quite similar to Tsitsipas, Fritz struggled to gain any momentum, and even the first set that he won took a gigantic effort to keep pace against fellow American Brandon Holt. The second set produced another tiebreaker, but this time Holt was up to the challenge and wrapped it up in a dominating fashion, 7-1, before going on to click into another gear and wrap up the match in 4. The world number 12 just couldn't keep up with Holt's fantastic returns, and even though he created enough breakpoint opportunities, he couldn't take his chances while Holt found the line on multiple big moments. This adds to Fritz's terrible post-Wimbledon run, and it's not surprising as he himself declared that the Nadal loss hurt him more than any other loss. Maybe a break will help him gather his thoughts and he can return to end the year on a high. And finally, wins for the Australians. Spanish duo Alcaraz-Nadal yet to play. Nick Kyrgios was handed a tough match against Thanasi Kokkinakis, his best friend and fellow Australian, in the first round of the U.S. Open. Later, he claimed that he didn't want to play him, but he made light work of his bestie, dispatching him off in 3 sets. On the other hand, Alex de Minaur and Jordan Thompson won their opening round fixtures with varying degrees of difficulty, as Thompson had to fight it over 5 to get that big win, and de Minaur won in 3, but it wasn't a comfortable win. As for the Spanish players, Rafael Nadal is set to start his U.S. Open bid with a match against another Australian, Rinky Hijikata, while world number 4 will be facing the Argentine, Sebastian Baez, in his opening fixture. That's a wrap for this video. With Simona Halep knocked out, do you think Coco Gauff can go deep into the second week at Flushing Meadows? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.